Hey, welcome. This is Samuel. Channel just for fans of Kawasaki Vulcan 1500. Years 96 through 99, they're all about the same. Well, I'm going to be putting some new handlebars on my bike. The ones that came with it look like this. They're 1 inch. Alright, they're 1 inch chrome, and I believe this is the buckhorn style. Maybe a medium buckhorn style. Anyway, they're 1 inch all the way around, okay? I didn't like them because, you know, they're a little bit close together, so when I'm doing my turns, I feel kind of constricted a little bit. It just didn't feel right. So I came up on some other handlebars. They're the beach cruiser style, which I was kind of looking for, but they're the extra wide beach cruisers, okay? And here they are. Talk about grabbing the bull by the horns, huh? I went from one extreme to the other. These are a little bit wide, but I'm going to try it out. I got a heck of a deal on it. Only problem is these are kind of different. You have your 1 inch right here for your controls, your grips, and your mirrors and whatnot, and then it stops right here. And it starts to taper up into like 1.5 inches. And then in the very middle, you're back to 1 inch again. Okay. Problem was the risers that were on the bike for the buckhorn style handlebars that came with it, the stock handlebars. These are the stock risers. They look like this. All right. Hopefully you can see that. And you know, they fit down here, like the bolt comes down in the top of the bike like that, and they hook in. But problem is they're 1 inch, okay, but they're not split on both sides. They're only split on one side, so you can't get these to go over that style of handlebar, okay? And so I had to find some new risers on Amazon. The new risers, they look like this, okay? And they're split all the way across. So you could remove the top half and you could fit them on handlebars like that. No problem. Now just make sure the risers you get, okay, that split like this for that type of handlebar, if you want to do that, make sure that the bolt is 10mm bolt, alright? Because they have some on there that look just like this, but if you look at the specs, it says 12mm. A 12mm will not fit down in the hole, through the holes that are in your column above the forks there. Alright, so make sure it's 10mm bolt. Well, looks like a case of Chinese sabotage, man. I got those bolts and those risers from Amazon, and in the description, in the blueprint that was listed on the description, it clearly specifies that these stupid bolts for the risers that go through your column of your bike, it says they're 10mm, okay, diameter. They're not. These are 12. And so I just checked my bike out there. They will not fit at all. Measured them, and sure enough, you know, with my micrometer, get these at like AutoZone, Harbor Freight, even better. 11.80mm, which is 12mm. They always go a little under on the sizing. And when you convert that on you have a little button on here that you can convert back to inches. It tells you it's 0.46465. Now, when you look up that in a decimal to fraction conversion chart, okay, the closest size drill bit you're going to find is a 15/32. Okay, and a 15/32 will bore that hole out to, I believe in millimeters, it's 11.90. Okay, so it isn't that much bigger. It's very little. So I don't think that's going to make a bit of difference, really. And if I need to, if I have to, I got some brass shim stock that I can cut, and I could shim that hole up a little bit if I need to. I don't think I'll need to, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Because I like the way that those risers are set up, where they split in half, and you can basically use any handlebar you want that's 1 inch. And those big bowl handlebars, those wide beach handlebars, they have that 1 inch right in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Anyway, I'll let you know how it turns out. Alright guys, so I drilled those holes, those 10mm holes out in my column for the handlebar risers to pretty much 12mm. I mean, I measured that 15/32 drill bit, and actually it was coming out a lot closer to 11.80, which is what I was looking for. Now let's see here. See, now those fit pretty good, man. Very little wiggle room. You don't want to fight them either. I'd say that's perfect right there. Of course, these are going to come up the other direction. Actually, they're going to come up. Let's see if I can do it. Just like that. Bam. And it's pretty snug. You know, there's not much slop at all. Once I tighten it up, you won't have any problem at all. So it was an easy fix. But now I got to stick with those 12mm bolts whenever I get risers now, because I drilled them out. So, well, it's my bike. I decided to do it. I don't always recommend doing that, but anyway, it was an easy fix. It took me like 5 minutes to drill them out. There wasn't much of a difference between the 10 and 12mm hole there, and it's solid aluminum, so it was a real easy drill. Didn't even use any oil or anything, and it made a little bit of a mess, but some shavings. But anyway, so now I'm going to install the risers and try to mount those handlebars so you can see what they look like. Alright, so I got the new riser on through those new holes that I drilled. Only problem is, to me it looks like that bolt sticks up a little bit too much. And so I don't like that, because then that's going to mar your chrome on your handlebar. So I got some lock washers, excuse me, I got some lock washers that I'm going to put on the underside, on the bottom there, and hopefully that will, see, there's that bolt back in there, hopefully that'll make it drop down enough to where it won't mar the chrome. So I'm going to do that and see what happens. That did the trick, man. I used one of these lock washers here, which my neighbor was kind enough to get for me at Harbor Freight, and it made it sink down just enough, that added extra lock washer, where it's not rising above that that well there, that chamfered well. Okay, so that should not touch the bar at all, which is what we want. Alright, so now I'm going to loosely put on and both bars so you can kind of see how the different ones look on this bike. Okay. Alright, so here's the bullhorn handlebars. They're just loosely put on just to show you what they look like. You know, you're kind of in a little bit here, you know. I mean, some people like them. I just want to try something different. So there's the buckhorns, and I'm going to put on the wide beach cruiser handlebars next, made by Burley. These are the stock ones for this bike, by the way. Well, as you can see, quite a bit of a difference. You know, I'm going to be out here like this, which actually does feel kind of comfortable. Nice and relaxed stance. And here's the seat where I'll be sitting. You know, my wife will be behind me when she's with me. Of course, the gas tank's going to be here, so I need to put that gas tank on, and finish up the other work I was doing on this bike and put everything back up on the handlebars, all my gauges and mirrors and kill switch and turn signal switch. But I think I won't have an issue with it turning with that gas tank. It's kind of up right here, and the gas tank maybe might be around right here. But I like it. I like it already. Nice and comfortable. But I don't know how it's going to be turning. I've never turned on a bike with such wide handlebars before, so we'll see what happens. I'll do a little video on my street with my wife. Get a shot of me riding down the street with it. Anyway, here's the wide beach cruiser handlebars by Burley. All right, I think it looks pretty slick. All right, guys. So I tried to put on those wide beach cruiser handlebars from Burley, but they were too wide, man. I mean, they felt great, but the problem I was running into is these lines, like the fixed, you know, the hydraulic lines, like for your clutch here, and you have one over here. You have a line that's a hard line for your throttle and your brake line. Okay, your throttle and brake line. They don't go out. They're not long enough. Okay, they won't extend out long enough to fit on those handlebars without. It just wouldn't work. You'd have your line. You couldn't have your wires tucked in along the bar there. They'd be coming out like this. It just wouldn't look right, and it might damage it making turns. They're just too short. So you'd have to modify all those lines and get longer lines. It's start adding up, man. I don't have the money for that right now. I'm just gonna hold off on that. I got some Cafe Racer handlebars that I'm gonna be getting. Try to put those on and see how I like those. But for now, I'm gonna put these bull horns back on. You know, sometimes you just gotta learn as you go, man. And you know, I'm not no crack ace mechanic, but you know, I just kind of share my knowledge with you as I work on my bike, man. My Kawasaki Vulcan 1500. So anyway, back to the drawing board. Alright guys, so what I should have done was measure my stock handlebar width. Okay, bar to bar. Into the bar, of one end of the bar, straight across to the other end of the bar. Okay, these stock handlebars, I want to say they're 24 inches. My bad. They're 27 inches, okay? From the end of the bar to the end of the bar. All right, so these stock lines that are designed to run, you know, with these stock handlebars, you can't go much bigger than that, okay? Maybe an inch or two, but not much. The problem was these extra wide beach cruiser handlebars are like almost 40 inches. They're like 39.5 inches from one end of the bar to the other straight across. So, you know, I think it's like 8 inches, man, on each side. So I would need to have my hydraulic lines for the clutch and the brake, as well as my throttle cables, to all be 8 inches longer to maybe 10 inches longer to make it work. And you'd have to, you know, you'd have to take off your lines, you'd have to put on the new ones that are the right length, and then you'd have to bleed everything out. You know, bleed the clutch, bleed the brake system. So, you know, it's quite a bit of a job, and I didn't realize that. You know, hey, I'm not perfect, man. Now I know. So, but I think I'm going to hang on to those bars, and I think I'm going to try to make that work down the road. Just, money's kind of tight right now during the holidays, and I've been putting some money into this bike. I need to chill out for a minute and pay some bills down. So, anyway, well, hey, we learned something, right? Maybe you guys knew this already. You know, if you're ignorant like me, hey, maybe you'll learn something today, huh? So, there you go. Talk to you later.